We're here at KBR 680 with Jeff Samardzija. Jeff, spring training for you, a couple of starts in, so bring the fans up to date. How you doing?
Doing great. Working on about 100 innings here in camp, so we'll be ready to go for the year. But I love it. It's been an exciting camp. We got some great guys here, and a lot of hungry guys, young guys competing for jobs here early in camp, which is always exciting to watch. And get to know, especially on a new team, get to know some of those minor league guys that might help you out later in the year, and what you have to look forward to in the future. Sometimes there's some guys down there that are fun to watch that nobody knows about yet.
Very exciting watching you pitch against the Dodgers the other day, and first inning, you strike out the side in the first inning, and look, you've been in the big leagues a while, you've seen the Dodgers before, but now you're a Giant. So a little satisfaction. How'd you feel about that first inning?
Yeah, I was more excited for the fans than anyone else, man. To come out in camp and have a crowd like that is really first time for me. I think I've had some other nice ones in spring training here and there, but to have a crowd with a packed house that was into the game and I'm excited for every pitch, man. That was really fun and kind of caught me off guard. I mean, I knew the rivalry was big, but I figured maybe they'd save the big fireworks for the regular season. But it was cool to see both sides out here. It wasn't just all Giants fans, and so you heard a little bit of both, and you just got a nice little taste of what we're gonna have in the future. So it was fun.
Jeff Samardzija with us. Jeff, pitchers are all different. Are you a good spring pitcher? Are you a good early season pitcher? Sometimes I say the power guys are good coming out, and the finesse guys take a little more time. How about you?
Nah, I try not to look too much into the output you get in spring. For me, it's more about how my arm's bouncing back from start to start. You go out in different starts and you try different things, and that might not be necessarily how you approach a guy during the season, but that's what you need to work on in camp. So camp's more about you, and then as the season goes on, it's more about the team and how you get the other guys out and the best ways of doing that. So for me, I just want to make sure I'm getting my pitch count up and then working all my pitches, and that given day what we were trying to work on, and maybe that wasn't so good in the bullpen, and now we can get in the game situation and work on the things in the stretch with runners in scoring position and things like that. There's different things you can't reenact in practice.
Yeah, look, pitching out of the stretch is critical because when they're in the stretch, it means somebody's on base. Mm-hmm. You don't want that to happen. You put some people on base in the first two starts, and you have pitched out of the stretch a lot. How is it going?
It's going great. For me, I realized how important the stretch was back in 11 when I was in the bullpen, and I switched only to the stretch because I knew I would be starting, and that really got my foundation real strong with my stretch, and ever since then it's been pretty consistent. So for me, you get in the stretch, you want to get the ball in the zone, but down in the zone. Get some ground balls. I got double play yesterday, which I love to see. I know I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing when I'm getting ground balls, and I gave up some singles, but you can live with them. When they're singles, you make them get 3 singles an inning to score a run, and you're probably going to have a good day.
The other thing, home runs, and for years, look, some of the great Hall of Famers led the league in giving up home runs in a year, but they were solo shots. That's important too.
Absolutely. Coming up in Wrigley and cutting my teeth, in the Windy City, I learned real early that, you can live with a solo shot because if the wind's blowing out and it's a hitter's park, your guys are probably going to get one also. So, you just keep your head on tight and understand that no matter, what happens early in the game, when you're in those situations, anything can happen. And your team also has the wind blowing out in a short park. So to give the game away early sometimes is worst possible scenario. You just want to keep fighting, keep getting outs, and keep giving your team a chance to come back in the dugout and score some runs for you.
Boy, nice having you on the show. Always interesting talking to you. We did the post game last week about analytics and metrics. I said to the fans, give me some that you like, some that you think help understand the game. Are you an analytics guy, or do you look at anything? WAR, on base percentage, first to third, swing and miss ratio. Do you look at any of this stuff?
No, not really. I prefer analytics to stay up top, in the front office. I think when it comes to player personnel and arbitration and value, and as compared to guys making, more money as free agents and determining value that way, I think it's important as a GM and a president to really understand the analytics and the value of players. But as a player, for me, numbers come into play when it becomes a coin flip. When there's just two things that are really close and you're not quite sure if it's a slider or if it's a fastball or things like that. For me, it's a tiebreaker type situation. But other than that, you need to be on top of your game visually with what's going on and understanding how the hitters are approaching you that given day, these hitters' approaches change, every game and every week, every month, and they're making adjustments, and they're scuffling in the batting cages, and they're scuffling in BP. So you need to understand that too, and take into account that nothing is consistent or constant. Things are always changing and evolving in this game. So the most important information you have is that current information that's happening on the field.
Bochy told a funny story about you the other day. On one of the drills in the backfield, Mark Gardner got very afraid. It was the pickoff drill with the guy at second base, and you're supposed to run at him.
Yeah.
Now, of course, we know who you are. And, you're gonna. I told Bochy it's 3rd and 8. Bring this guy in. But you ran right at the runner, and you opened up some eyes.
I enjoy being athletic out there. I think one of the advantages, whatever advantages you have as a player, you need to take advantage of. And I think for me, being athletic is one of them. And I need to be able to cover some ground and field my position. And when you can do that as a pitcher, then you can move the infield back a little bit and give them a little bit more range. And as long as Brandon has confidence that I'm going to cover first, on balls in the hole and things like that. And if he knows I can cover a lot of bunts, and then he can stay back a little more. So, there's a big part to it that I take pride in. And even when you're having a little fun in the backfield with some of the slower coaches that are trying to represent, quote unquote runners, you still try to get the most out of it and understand that you got to use your legs out there sometimes. And sometimes throwing the ball isn't necessarily the best case. And sometimes it's better to hawk them down than tag them yourself.
I can't wait to see it. Believe me, this is going to be good. Can you hit? Are you a good hitter?
I got a couple homers, and I'm about a 190 hitter, so we're working on it. I have a little more coverage in here in this lineup than the past years, so I'm excited to just slide in there in the 9-hole and maybe get some OO heaters there to jump on for sure.
I will tell you this, and it's well known, the Giant pitchers bunt really well. How about bunting?
Love bunting. Yeah, I'm a great bunter. Take a lot of pride in it, and it's always step one when you put that bat in your hand as a pitcher. It's you bunt. You're a hitter second, and if you're asked to hit, a lot of times because there's 2 outs and there's no other options. So the majority of the time you're going to be going up there, you're going to be trying to advance a runner, and you have to understand that it might be monotonous and boring to do, and maybe everybody wants to hit, but in the long run it can get you a run, which might win you a game here and there.
Oh, believe me, come on, the little things in National League. You've been in the American League, there's a difference the way they play the ball here. One last thought for you. You gave me an interesting theory about Chicago baseball and the wind. And Wrigley versus the wind, I call it Comiskey Park. The south
I
side.
still call it Comiskey.
Very
absolutely.
good. Because you're an Indiana guy. No, you're an Indiana guy, I know that. But the wind in Wrigley different than the wind at the Cell or Comiskey.
For sure. I think people understand is in Chicago they're both faced different directions. So, Wrigley is faced northeast and the Cell is faced southeast. So all fields will face east to keep the sun out of play. But so anytime it's getting cooler, that wind's coming from the north, coming down the lake, which means it's blowing in Wrigley and then blowing out at the Cell. So, it all depends on you just wake up in the morning when you're a pitcher in Chicago, your life evolves around the weather report. So you wake up in the morning and you get that 3-hour, future forecast, and then you go from there and you understand whether you're going to be throwing sinkers or heaters up. So your game plan a lot of times as a pitcher in Chicago is determined early in the morning.
All right. I love having you on. It's going to be a lot of fun. I know the fans can't wait to see you, so I appreciate the time.
Yeah, anytime. Thanks for having me.
All right.